The most important idea for nonprofits in 2011 came out of this, the whole thing on collective impact. Many of you have dipped into it, but it's a big thing. So when we talk about, so this person too, just from an article I was reading, another article that you didn't give us, Kevin, but backbone support is everything needs an institutional, they call it institutional warrior. When Ross and I first started talking together, I said every city needs somebody that wakes up every day and thinks about the well-being of the city, not their little part of it, but the whole city. And that can appreciate the value of everybody who contributes without competing with any of those people. And so a backbone organization. This is important too because there's two types of problems. One, the problem you just gotta solve it. You know how to solve a problem. Man, my lawn needs mowing. Hey, I know what to do. And you know how to solve that problem. The other things are called the more attractive problems, what they call Ron Heifetz and stuff from Harvard, but he calls them. But there's no single solution. And what happens is, I forget what they call, but think about, so if you bring in the different players, think of the players like the staves of a barrel. And the solution will only be as good as the lowest stave. And so if the nonprofits are not participating, the water line is going to drain out in a certain amount of government, business, all those kind of things. So collective impact is what do we need? Which stave is not here for these kind of problems? And Kevin, I think you're introducing this as a whole is going to create a whole new conversation. Life without social capital. We're talking a little bit about social capital. How many have read Bowling Alone? Anything by Robert Putnam? Okay, this interesting quote gives us this great quote here. But he says, "Your corn," is by David Hume, but he says, "Your corn is ripe today. Mine will be so tomorrow. 'Tis profitable for both of us, for us both, that I should labor with you today, and that you should aid me tomorrow. I have no kindness for you, and know you have as little for me. I will not therefore take any pains upon your account, and should I labor with you upon my own account in expectation of return, I know I should be disappointed, and that I should in vain depend on your gratitude. Here then I leave you to labor alone. You treat me in the same manner. The seasons change, and both of us lose our harvest for the want of mutual confidence and security." It's a great picture of something that I can help you and you can help me, but we don't because we're suspicious of each other. And so we both lose, both of us get nothing out of that thing. And so it's a great thing it's a picture of life without social capital. And one of the words that Kevin mentioned is the word collaboration. And there's a little, for somebody that maybe have a Bible background, but there's a couple times in the Bible where the Apostle Paul is writing to people and he refers to people as his co-laborer. And those people, Ross has been a senator, Ross, speak Greek, there. But the word for co-laborer is the word synergos. That means to be co-laborers. And synergos is where we get a word. I know we get an English word, but I just can't think of it at the minute. Like Kevin has all these definitions to write. But it's basically 1 + 1, you get more than 2, where the synergy comes in. So all of us have isolated impact. And so what I mean by that is, so part of it is that each one, when we think about the centered set things, all of your organizations have an amazing isolated impact on what you're doing. And so kids are getting fed. What you're doing in your Christian Resource Center, amazing stuff. Church is going to refer to you as doing great stuff. Thriving because of that. But collective impact is different. The collective impact would be what is the big intractable problem that we need every bit of us in the community to solve. Does that make sense? So I don't know, Kevin, if maybe that's going to be a future conversation that's going to happen. But it's very difficult. It's not like it's not a feel good. It's a feel good thing when you announce that you're going to do it. And that's probably the last feel good thing you're going to have to do. Because it's very, very, very tough. And you move things just a few percentage points is like a great victory. We had a mayor in Boulder, and it was Leslie Durgan. When she was leaving the office, she was asked, "Do you have any final words? Do you have any thoughts on Boulder?" And she said, "I fear that Boulder is a city without a soul." And she was asked to clarify that. And she said, well, Boulder has the highest per capita income of any city in Colorado with the lowest per capita giving. More PhDs, more graduate schools, more college graduates in the city of Colorado, but the lowest per capita volunteering. So I think Boulder is a city without a soul. And that's sort of like the deal. Can Evansville be a city without a soul or a city with a soul? And actually, that started a whole movement to get going here. But the whole thing about this conversation really has to do with a city with social capital. So social capital, Putnam says, is that it refers to the collective value of all social networks who people know and the inclinations that arise from these networks to do things for each other. So there's norms of reciprocity. So this meeting, for some of you, will be the first time that networks are starting to know other networks. But we could never expect this reciprocity just because Ross threw a luncheon for you guys and all of a sudden you feel obligated to throw one for him. That would be nice. Maybe I should. Yes, Ross would like. Actually, just a gift certificate to get on the can. So social capital. Oops. So interestingly enough, in America, 28% of Americans don't know the names of one of their neighbors. Only 19% know all their neighbors' names. And the whole concept there is, when you're building community, it's hard to love those people that you don't know. My wife and I did a fabulous cruise over in Northern Europe a couple of years ago. We had to take a taxi from our hotel to the dock in Stockholm. And this taxi driver picked us up and we got a conversation with him. He's from Greece, he's been there 20 years. And he was bragging about the great social care that Sweden has. He said, if you go to a hospital, no matter what, if you're working, if you're not working, if you're rich or you're poor, the most it's ever going to cost you is $90 a day. Just the greatest country. So it was a long ride, so he started telling us about back home in Greece. He said the families and friends and neighbors are always looking out for each other. And then he said, I had a neighbor of mine. He said when we kind of been elected in socialist type of government, he said the churches and neighbors can stop looking out for each other because we're going to do that. The governments can do that. He said 2 years ago, a neighbor in my apartment died. It took them 18 months before they found his body and there was nobody visited him. And right before I dropped us off, I said, where would you rather live? He was talking about back in Greece, everybody knew each other and took care of each other. And I said, where would you rather live in a country that has free health care, but you don't know your neighbors, or a place where you know your neighbors and you have to pay for health care? He said, I'd rather have good neighbors that pay for my health care. So we started off by bragging how great the health care was, but really at the end of the day, he wanted to, as we talked about, love and be loved. The benefits of social capital is that it's still beyond the people immediately involved in the network and can be used for many other purposes. The more neighbors who know one another by name, the fewer crimes. The neighborhood has a hole to suffer. A child born in a state whose residents volunteer, vote, spend time with friends is less likely to be born underweight, less likely to drop out of school, and less likely to be killed or be killed than the same child, no richer or poorer, born in another state whose residents do not. Society as a whole benefits enormously from the social ties forged by those who connect with strategies in pursuit of their particular goals. And so just the very fact, so everyone's trying to look for sort of the magic bullet of different things. I discovered a great one a few months ago, but do you know the most, so I'll ask this question to you guys, what's the most important minute of the day? How would you ask, what comes to mind? Kevin asked you a question, I asked you a question. What comes to mind? First one, that's that, I've heard people say that. What else? Last one, okay. A lot of good answers, but probably you build a pretty good case for the most important thing of the day is the minute you spend flossing your teeth. You can look up the research, but flossing your teeth every day adds 6.4 years to your life. Exercise every day might add up to 3 years. It's because the plaque in your teeth gets in your bloodstream, gets in your heart, all that stuff. It's the single best thing you can do. I mean, have a donut and then floss your teeth. So you're always looking kind of for these little cause and effects thing. What if we just did, if we went upstream and just tweaked this one thing? So rather than working on all the symptoms, but what if we could go to a systemic issue and solve that? So Putnam says just the very difference between dropout rates and murder and all these things, underweight births and all that kind of stuff is tagged to knowing your neighbor's name. So one of the first initiatives, or two types of social capital then, I was working on 2 slide decks this morning. I hope I have my right slides in here. But he talks about 2 types of social capital. One is he calls bonding capital. He says bonding capital is the strength of the relationships between the members of a group, a family, an affinity group, an ethnic group, a club, or a church. It's really the super glue of relationships. It's measured by the number of neighbors who know each other by name, how many vote or how many volunteer, bring meals to their neighbors, or shovel the neighbors' snow. And he said bonding capital is what makes us, and them. And so, whether it's a church affiliation or your nonprofit or your whatever it is, but he says bonding capital is very good, but if you only have bonding capital, you end up like Bosnia or some of these places where there's ethnic cleansing. It's kind of this, there's us and everybody else. He says the other type, he calls bridging capital. Bridging capital is the strength between the diverse segments of society. He says it's really the WD-40 that creates the grease that makes everything really work well. And so we need bonding capital, but we also, more importantly, as we move into a broader discussion beyond churches and nonprofits, how churches and nonprofits work together, now we need to talk about bridging capital. So a pluralistic democracy requires a lot of bridging social capital, not just the bonding variety. Bridging capital is harder to build than bonding capital, since people normally prefer to hang out with people most like them. Bridging capital is necessary for diverse groups to work together, for genuine reconciliation to occur, for relationships between groups to heal. So where's Lynn? Lynn, you're there, yeah. Oh, checking her email. Thanks, Lynn.
Big event tomorrow.
But Lynn,
you're up to 930.
Lynn, I'm sorry, but you're really good. So you'll look here and you'll think, who's not in the room? That's how you read a room. It's not, do I see my friends here? Who can I hang out with that I feel comfortable with that I don't have to make that nervous thing? But you automatically think, who's not here that we need to include them next time? Is that kind of how you think?
Yeah, and I think about how to bridge it.
And how to bridge it, yeah.
Not just who isn't here, but how.
How many feel that same thing as Lynn does? That they kind of think of who's not here, who we need to bring in here. Okay, there's a few of them, but it's rarer than the bonded thing. If you've been to church, I guarantee, if you're in church, you're talking to the same 10 people every week, no more. You never go beyond that one circle. And so what happens is when we want to take on bigger problems in Evansville, we have to be as comfortable creating bridging capital as we do with bond capital. That who's not here that should be here. If we're going to solve these big problems, ridiculous. Trying to do it without the business community, without the Jewish community, without the Muslim community. And for some of you, that makes you feel uncomfortable, but that's what it is to live in a pluralistic city and to be a bridge builder like that. And so it's kind of like, because unless everybody's part of the solution, then we can really never solve those things. Yep, we got that. So I'll finish with this. This is, how many have heard the word ecotones before? Anybody?
Or ecosystem, not ecotone.
Tone. Okay, so nobody was here. Good. I'm going to introduce you a great term. So ecotones is the place where 2 ecosystems come together. Okay? So this is a good picture of it. This is where the water meets the marsh, and the marsh meets the grass, and the grass, the tree line, the tundra, and all that kind of stuff. And the characteristics of ecotones is that there are more life species in those ecotones than either the surrounding ecosystems, and there's unique life species that live over there. Okay? Think about that. There's more life species that live in the overlap sections where they come together, and there's species that live over there. And I think it's such a wonderful word, so it's kind of like this, and I began thinking of it in terms of even marriage with my wife and I. I had a friend that said, I said, what's all this stuff about working on our marriage? Marriage is no such thing. It's either working on her or working on me. I'm like, yeah, that's right, Dad. That's a good thought. And then when I thought of the word ecotone, I kind of thought of it like this, is that there's me and then there's Liz, and then there's us. And our relationship is something that can be nurtured or died. I can be thriving as a human being, she can be thriving as a human being, but we can be dying on that us space. And so now if we can kind of see this as an ecotone, that's a life-giving, life-nurturing place, that's a good thing. And I'll say this to pastors or anybody that wants to be involved in city transformation, that sometimes churches in their arrogance can think, well, if we could only make the city more like the church, have these good Christian values, blah, 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 right? And I'll say this, it says that unless you're willing to be transformed by the city, you can never be an agent in its transformation. There was a lot of you are from out of town, you've come with your knowledge and your education, your relationships and your expertise, and you bring it here. But you've got to let the city change, let Evansville change you so you can be an agent in transformation, not I know the right way to do things. And that's going to come from a lot of ongoing conversations, etc. So this meeting today, in a sense, was a convergence of a bunch of ecosystems. Right? And there'll be more ecosystems. Your nonprofit is a little ecosystem in itself, but when you meet another nonprofit leader, maybe there's a faith leader here today, and there's a quality of life that never existed. It exists in this space when there's crossover. There exists a space here in this meeting that a form of life exists that doesn't really exist when we go. And so when we're working together, we just have to kind of learn to appreciate that and grasp and pull everything that we can out of it. And rather than avoid those situations, lean into those situations. Not how, it makes me nervous kind of having this conversation. No, that's where you kind of lean in. So we started off with kind of so going forward, Kim, I'm glad you brought this up. But there's no real, you know what the agenda is? Meet with each other. We don't know what's going to emerge, but as you meet with each other, your model was 10 pastors, just 10, start with 10, over 10 months, meet 10 times, is that right? 10?
Yep.
But pay for yourself, of course.
Yes.
But I like this as when there's high trust equals high speed, low cost. When there's low trust, you have low speed, high cost. It comes from Stephen Covey's work on leading at the speed of trust, I think the name of his book is. Something like that. So all this is this gathering here, we say, Ross, is basically a trust building. It's the first thing is, before we ever work together, we trust each other. And could trust, move to love. And setting aside our petty differences and our different approaches for the good of the city of Evansville. Make sense? So that's about it for me. Next time, I want to talk about the platforms, Ross said. So platforms. Let's give this a little introduction here. They're the most powerful business model in human history because for the first time, value is detached from ownership. Facebook's the largest media company in the world that doesn't write any content. And but what it does do, and like what Uber does, and Airbnb, and Amazon, and Google, all these, is what's absolutely amazing. I think it has a lot to do with what you guys do too. So I think that's it for me, Ross. Want to lay it down?
Thank you.